Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our podcast.
Today we're discussing another Marvel movie that we just recently and finally seen,
Ant-Man.
Ant-Man.
Now, this movie follows Scott Lang, a former thief and convict, who gets a second chance at life.
What's wrong?
A former thief and convict.
Well, you said convict.
Okay.
And
This
restart.
movie follows Scott Lang, a former thief and convict who gets a second chance at life by becoming the new Ant-Man, given to him by the former shrinking hero, Dr. Hank Pym, and is eventually tasked to help save the world. Okay, here we go. You know me. I can't wait. I loved this movie. We had heard so many jokes and so many things, and the commercial made it look like it was a comedy fest. But this was an awesome, awesome movie. So awesome that now I want to own it.
And we actually rented this from Redbox, which they had in honor of the release of the sequel, Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Mhm.
And we haven't seen that movie or Infinity War, so the only two Marvel movies we have left before we're all caught up.
Right, and Bennett Dudley said we need to see Infinity War first and then Ant-Man and Wasp.
Right.
So we're on our way.
Right. So, like you said, the commercials made it look like it was more of a comedy. It was different from the other Marvel movies with being a mixed tone of you would have action and was still lighthearted.
Mhm.
But in terms of being just like Howard the Duck levels of comedy, it wasn't that. It was still, it felt like a superhero movie still.
It did, and it was from the beginning. You kind of wondered what was going on, and then once you got into like the first 10 minutes, it just flowed, and it just flowed all the way to the end. And we were sorry that it was over, and we were, we're like, okay, we can't wait to see this, the second movie. And great job. I mean, this to me is an example of the quality of movies Marvel used to make, where everything was evenly proportioned, just everything was the right balance, and as you said, it felt like a superhero movie from beginning to end.
Right. And what you really like about it is that not only did they not just focus on the Hank Pym one, because usually that's the one that
The animated ones.
the animated or the comics focus on.
Mhm.
So this time instead they have him as the mentor,
Right.
and have the second Ant-Man, Scott Lang, take the lead instead.
And then, of course, Hank Pym is played by the legendary Michael Douglas, son of Kirk Douglas. Your grandparents know who they both are. Your parents know who Michael Douglas is. And what was really great is in the end credits, I saw that Paul Rudd, who plays Ant-Man, actually is one of the screenwriters, which is great because this man has been acting for quite a long time, and he's always had, talent and skills. And finally, now he's coming to his own role. So since I'm real familiar with him, I'm really happy for him.
And the guy who played Cross and eventually, Yellow Jacket, he was actually a very intimidating villain.
Oh, definitely.
Reminded you of Lex Luthor, which I actually stated online and said maybe he should have been Lex Luthor in Batman vs. Superman instead of Jesse Eisenberg. Because, I mean, it wasn't just because of how he looked. He did look a little bit like Lex Luthor, but he was very intimidating like him. He had the money and the power, the big ego.
He was menacing.
Right, menacing, wanting to put his plans forward no matter, and then nothing was going to get in his way.
And the maniacal laugh.
So that would have fit rather than who they got. But everyone did fit the role within the movie, and there's never anyone that felt like they were stick out or unnecessary or like, why are they in this movie?
True. The only thing I saw, and I mentioned to you a couple times, I said, Yellow Jacket's suit looks like Blue Beetle.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah,
They just coated
it
it
might
yellow.
be
It's like, no one noticed, right?
That's the only thing I noticed and saw, that maybe it was borrowed. But other than that, this is a great movie. An absolutely great movie.
And of course, they also got some cameos from Falcon.
Right.
And then you get the post credit scene, which showed how he ended up in Civil War.
And I really like this movie showing Lang as, yes, he was divorced from his wife, but he also was a father that loved his daughter. And he was willing to do anything necessary so that he could, have visitation rights with her, see her, and take care of her. Now, I'm not saying that being a thief and pulling a big heist is the way to go. But just he was just determined, whatever I've got to do, I'm not going to lose, being able to visit my daughter and see my daughter. And he did the right thing later, which was good. And it was great that Hank Pym knew what was in him and gave, as you said, gave him a second chance. And I like the way it ended. Yeah.
And we also like the scene with his daughter, because usually some of the shows where, shows or movies where it's kind of difficult to tackle something when a kid and the parent has moved on with some other person. That person doesn't like the protagonist that the wife husband's no longer with, but the kid still loves seeing them.
Right.
And she wasn't irritated at all. It was really sweet. She really wanted to see him every time. She missed him. And it was a scene in there where it was her birthday, the first time he saw her, and he brought her this ugly toy rabbit, looked like it was possessed, and voiced by Tom Kenny. And he said, "It's so ugly. I love him." And then you're expecting like the total opposite. Right. It was just hilarious.
Yes. It's a great movie. I like what they did in this movie in, as you said, making another Ant-Man the protagonist. But there were so many elements that had been taken from different comic books and put into one and made a cohesive movie. It was great. It was great the way it was done.
And some other characters that were definitely memorable were his friends, or let's say one of his friends, who were also thieves. And the first thing they want him to do when he got out, he was going to quit thieving. They want him to, I got a job for you. And it's like the second he comes out, go right back to it. And like, that's how he got caught in the first place.
Right.
And when he tells him to explain how he got it, he just said, just give it to me short. What heard from this guy? Who heard from this guy? And he was like, oh, like this. And he was, and when they would show how he heard from it, they would have the characters, but it was his voice coming out, and they were acting like him and his mannerisms, and it was hilarious how it went through all of it. He's like, will you just tell me what he said? Don't go through all that. And he would just go like this 10-minute explanation.
Right.
And then the other character would be Pym's daughter, Hope, who wanted to be the Ant-Man, or I guess Ant-Woman for this case, and she was skilled
in person.
And
person.
Right. In person. Yeah, she was really skilled and she could do it, but it was because of her issues with her dad and what happened with her mother. She knew that what he was telling what happened to her wasn't true, and he refused to tell all these years. And she wanted to use the suit, but he wouldn't let her. And the fact that it went to some thief that she was really irritated about, and she had mastered talking to the ants and everything, but it was something else that just wasn't meant for her. And but as you know, she's Wasp because of the sequel, so there's no spoiler there at all.
Right. But what I do like is how she was really angry and she couldn't stand Lang, and he told her, "You do know why he put me in the suit, because he couldn't stand for anything to happen to you." And she calmed down. She had never thought of that. He's like, he'd rather have somebody like me than to have you get killed in it.
Right.
And it was like all of that anger and stuff she had. And then they had another scene where they were talking it out, and of course he ruined the moment, but those moments were actually really good in that movie.
They didn't feel forced in, or she wasn't overly mean to her dad. She was just distant. And just not as close as apparently it was before. It wasn't just like Force being pissed off all the time and just being terrible to him.
Right.
Still worked with him, still trusted him some of the time, but you could tell there was just something blocking that full relationship.
And then when she really found out the truth about her mom, then it was all, everything was smoothed out. She totally understood everything that for decades she hadn't understood.
Right.
So that was like a great resolution. And I like that they didn't kill off Hank Pym.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because usually that happens in these movies where the mentor is killed in the end and it's time for the student to become the master.
Or in the beginning,
blah, blah, blah.
And that's why the other person takes over. But thank God Disney didn't do that this time.
Yeah. Oh, for once you didn't kill a parent, Disney. That's a miracle for them. And another thing that's also said about the CGI effects when they have the ants and when he's constantly shrinking and growing.
Definitely.
They have where he controls the ants, and it's hilarious how they react to everything. And he has to communicate telepathically.
Right.
So it's like different ants he has to communicate with. It's not just, oh, you can do this with this ant. It's each ant specific. It has to do a specific task.
Right.
And what can be used for, one can be used for fly, one's for fire ant, bullet ant, regular ant. There were just all sorts of different ones that he had to get used to in order to use the right ones for the job.
Right.
And it was hilarious when they had them do little tasks, and he said, how'd you train him to do that? And he said, no, seriously, how'd you train him to do that? He told him how. And then one of them brought, he said, oh, you want some sugar in your tea? He said, oh, sure. And then the ants were bringing the giant cube of sugar. He said, you know why I changed my mind? And then it turned around and pushed it back. And it's like, I don't want, it's like, yeah, I don't want ants touching my stuff.
It was, again, it was a perfect balance of everything. And as you said, the CGI was awesome. None of it looked fake.
Right.
At no point did you look at it and go, this doesn't look real. You didn't. It just did an awesome, terrific job at making everything look genuine.
Especially with the fight scenes near the end.
Yes.
Between he and the villain. And the timing for the jokes was hilarious. Like when they would fight somebody, like they had the Thomas the Tank Engine, he was throwing it at him and he knocked it out of the way. It looked
hilarious.
Like, and then all of a sudden it's like normal size, it's like, it was barely an impact or anything. And it was just like all the timing for those jokes were perfect. Never felt like they were just doing the same joke over and over and over and thinking, oh yeah, we're going to carry this the whole movie.
Right. So, unfortunately, it took us 3 years to see it, but we're so glad we've seen it, and now I'm going to buy it. So, for those of you who've seen Ant-Man and Wasp, let us know how much awesomeness we have to look forward to, but give us no spoilers, because we will be seeing that very, very soon.
Right. And Infinity War.
First, yes.
So, thank you for joining us.
And thank you for the positive comments Bennett made, actually last year, saying we should actually watch The Ant.
Yes.
Ant-Man, I remember. So, thank you once again.
Yes. I'm Rascal Entertainment.
And I'm Mama Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.
And reporters sitting, flashing lights, trying to walk around, man, who the hell are you? What you wanna do? Well, man, it's on you. Man, it's on you. Met her in my dreams, she was my queen. A castle in the mountaintops, rivers and streams. Plucking sunlight from the sky in my pocket, give it to you.